Hey guys, would you like me to tell you about the time I attempted to survive in Minecraft Hardcore mode? Well, too bad, I'm gonna do it anyways. The following is my best attempt at completing 100 days in Minecraft Hardcore mode. Day 1 started out the same as any other Minecraft world would. I chopped trees, collected stone, gathered a bit of food, and made a bed so that I can safely skip the night. I then made a boat so that I could cross the ocean that I spotted near spawn. After a little while, I found a place to place my bed to end the uneventful first day. Day 2, I found a shipwreck. I set down my furnace to let my food cook while I headed inside to go loot the place. For whatever reason, I thought breaking the first chest would be a good idea, and I started drowning. I got out of there quickly enough though, and I got some iron and emeralds from it. There was another chest that had moss and carrots in it, which was nice, but that was it. No treasure map sadly, but I did find another wreck that day, this time almost completely above water. This one only had the treasure map chest. Maybe the two halves of the ship ended up drifting apart? I made some iron gear and headed for the location marked on the treasure map, where I found various resources, including some food. Not far from here is where I ended up settling down. It's not much, but it'll protect me well enough. Day 3, I crossed the water to a dark oak forest I spotted to get some dark oak wood to make doors out of. Can you blame me though? Dark oak doors are the best ones after all. I also began to remove every tree from my island. On day 4, I finished the ecological damage I had begun the day before and also started a farm. I also went exploring again for a bit. Not too far, but I did find another shipwreck. You have no idea how invaluable these are early on in a hardcore world. Day 5, I added windows to my house and started a mine. Most of my footage for this day is just digging though, and I doubt many people want to see that, so I'll keep this segment brief. All that happened on day 6 was that I was able to collect my first bamboo harvest. These are an easy source of sticks due to how much faster they grow compared to trees, and how you can use a sword to cut them down. I also planted some of the sugar cane I found on my initial explorations so that later I'd be able to do some enchanting. Or so I thought. On day 7 I headed over to a nearby island, turned some of the pumpkins I found into seeds, and began planting them. Then I went exploring, this time in the direction of the setting sun, and I found a village. They were even nice enough to provide me with some free iron armor. I tried to take one of their villagers as well, but the day ended before I could get them to my boat. I only have part of the day for day 8, but thankfully it's the most important part because this is the day I brought the villager to the island, and I hoped at the time that they would be the first of many. On day 9, I created only the finest of shelters for my first villager, selling them some of the coal I had just mined in order to lock in their trades. I also returned to the village to begin the process of kidnapping anew. Day 10 saw me finish what I had started, meaning I now had 2 villagers. I also began to create a new dirt platform far away to plant my carrots on. You know, for totally unrelated reasons. I also started to build a bridge across the water to this new dirt island. On day 11, I decided to really get serious about protecting my island, so I began to torch spam all over the place. I really had no rhyme or reason, but it at least seemed to prevent mob spawns, so that's something at least. I also began to level the big cliff formation near my house. On day 12, I started to use a few quality of life mods, mainly so that if I go exploring, I won't accidentally forget where my house is. Don't worry, teleporting wasn't enabled, that would just be cheap. Other than that, it was more of yesterday, flattening that cliff. Same thing for day 13 and 14. What, you thought I was gonna show that? I would rather not bore you, honestly. Day 15, I finally finished flattening the cliff. I also expanded my farm some and continued to light up my island some more. For some reason, I decided that flattening the cliff wasn't enough and that I would flatten the rest of the island as well, which took up most of days 16 and 17, and then I finished on day 18. In my files, this video clip is called day 19, but I can only assume it's actually day 20, and the real day 19 was exploring to find the village where day 20 starts. Anyways, I took their hay bales and traded the wheat back to the villagers, though I also kept some of it for bread. On day 21, I headed back home, though not long from now I would soon be returning to that village, and began setting up a trading post in the spot where the cliff originally was. The one that willingly agreed to come with me was the first to enter their new home completely of their own free will, and totally not getting on my nerves at all. I then lit up Pumpkin Island and went to sleep. Day 22, I went exploring, found another shipwreck, though there wasn't much of note inside. Afterwards, I head straight back home. On day 23, I continued lighting up Pumpkin Island. I also began planting spruce trees and collecting wood for a big project I had in mind. I also tried to get my other two villagers into their trading compartments. Day 24 started as a continuation of the above, but later in the day I journeyed out to a new treasure map spot I found. This ended up being the first time I stayed up all night instead of sleeping it away, and I got pretty close to the treasure as well. It was extremely far. I finished my journey on day 25, then I decided to fish once I returned home. Not sure why though. I was able to bone meal my crops from some of the skeletons I killed last night, so that's nice. I started day 26 by collecting 8 buckets of water. You'll see why very soon. I then built out into the ocean and built a platform with chunk borders visible. Do you get it yet? I've started building a mob farm on this day. Ready for a scare on day 27? Don't worry, this was in a backup world. My real demise is yet to come. I was just testing fall damage. That was the most interesting thing that happened that day. The rest is just me placing blocks, and day 28 is more of the same. On day 29, I returned to the village from days 19 and 20, this time to steal their wool. After all, I need to be able to prevent spiders from spawning in my spawner. I also visited some more villages the next day, finding my first diamonds and, more importantly, more wool and more carpets. My spawner was gonna have 3 levels, meaning I would need about 192 pieces of carpet of any color. Day 31 was just me finishing collecting wool to make enough carpet, then I headed home to resume construction. While I was building on day 32, I was fortunate enough to get a visit from a wandering trader. They didn't have any worthwhile trades, but I did get free leads, so that was nice. Day 33 was more of the same, except I began using cobblestone so that I wouldn't have to collect and craft even more wood. This applies to days 34 and 35 as well. Day 36 is when, at long last, I finally finished my mob spawner, and unfortunately only a couple mobs were spawning at the time. All that work for basically no return. How annoying is that? To take my mind off the failure of my spawner, on day 37 I went exploring again. Little did I know that my time was soon coming to a close. I headed into a cave for the first time in this world, before I went to bed for what I wouldn't know, until too late, would be the last time. Day 38 was the final day of this world. I entered another, far larger cave, and there were many mobs inside. Thankfully I had a shield, so initially it was nothing I couldn't handle. So I ran around and lit up the place carefully to not get myself killed, yoinking any iron or coal I spotted along the way. I then headed deeper and thought it would be a good idea to take multiple spiders and skeletons at once, and, well, it ended pretty poorly for me, unfortunately. I hope you enjoyed me looking back at my failed hardcore world. Thanks for watching.